Okay, welcome to part two. We're going to complete the next steps of our two-way photo sharing app. So in part one, we uploaded a photo and we were able to view the photo and wrote about 18 lines of code to make that happen. So part two, we're going to write 12 lines of code so that we can list the photos that are in the cloud. And we're also going to write 3 lines of code that triggers the front end so that it'll update the list of photos that we're seeing. And then at the end, you'll have the source code for your app, and you'll be able to use your app online. So today we're going to start off where we left off after the first tutorial. We're going to add some HTML to show a list of photos, and then some JavaScript to get the list from the cloud so the browser will connect to the server, and then some JavaScript code to trigger the list update. And finally, we're going to write the Python side of the code that's going to query our database and get the list of photos so that the front end, the browser, knows what photos we have. So let's jump into it. Okay, here's our code where we left off. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable in our JavaScript right here. And we're going to call it files. I'm going to do comma here at the end of our upload to, and then files, colon, and then open close square bracket. So that's an empty array or like a list of items. And then in our HTML, we're going to make our list of items here. So we're going to do mt-cell, which is like a list item, but it's from Mint UI. It's kind of like Twitter Bootstrap. It's user interface widgets for mobile. So empty cell, and we're going to use a Vue.js loop feature because it's going to be v-4 equals quote open close parens, and this is going to give us each file and the index, meaning like 0, 1, 2, 3, in files. So files right here refers to this array that we created. It's going to have a list of photos. And so this empty cell is going to loop over each of those items, and it'll update automatically. If I change this variable down here and add new items to it, then the HTML will automatically redraw. So this will be connected. This HTML will be connected to this variable. So empty cell v4 file index in files, and then we're going to have a title, which is going to be the content of the cell, and we're going to put that to the file name. So our database has two fields that we created down here. When we did an add one to our files table, we gave each item a name and a published field, and it'll also have an ID. The ID will be the integer record ID, and we'll have our name, which will be the name of the file, and our published timestamp. So up here, when I do file.name, that's getting the value from the database. It's going to have the name of the file from the database, and I can do greater than, and then I'm going to end our mt-cell feature right here. So now we've got our list of files, and we've got our HTML that loops over the list to display them. Last thing we need to do is connect to the server. So we're going to go here to our methods in our Vue app, and we're going to write a new method. We're going to call it get files. It's going to be a browser function in our Vue app, and it's going to use view.http, which connects to the server, .get, and we're going to use one of our FleetCoder URLs, fleetcoder.com/exec, like execute, func, like function, equals get files. So now this is going to be a Python function called get files. We're going to create that after we finish writing our client-side function in the browser here. So then we're going to do a dot then and open parens twice, and we're going to receive a response, and then we're going to go to the right of that first parens, and we're going to do equals greater than, and then open curly bracket and hit return. And so that'll give us our response. And what we're going to do is with the response, we're going to put it into this dot files equals response dot body. So the response is going to have a dot body attribute, which will have our list of files in it. And this files right here is going to be populated when we do this dot files. It's going to put that data into this files array, and then guess what? It's going to show up in our HTML just like magic. All right, that's almost everything. The last piece we have to do to make this work is our Python code. So we're going to go down here, define get files, colon, space, and we're going to do photos equals get all files. And now we just have to print that out, json.dumps photos. So this actually does a database query on our files table, and we're putting that into this photos variable in our Python code, and then we're printing that out for the browser to receive, and we use json.dumps to take that array of records and put it into a string so that it can be passed down to the browser. That's pretty much it. I'm going to save my code. I'm going to save code changes, and now I hit reload. Uh-oh. Okay, let's try uploading a file here. Let's see. Oh, I know what we didn't do yet. We don't have anything triggering our getFiles function. So I was expecting to see a list of files and I didn't see it, but we've got getFiles here, but it's not getting triggered at all. So this is never running and we're not connecting to the server to get the list of files. So there's this created function right here, and right above save code, which is part of FleetCoder, I'm going to put this.getFiles. So this created function gets triggered whenever the page gets loaded, basically. So this.getFiles, save that, save code changes, and now there's our list of files. So I can upload a file, and when I reload the page, I can see that file. And now I can't click on them yet, so we're going to make each of those files clickable next. So we're going to add a variable, one more variable here to our data array, and we're going to call it link2 colon, and this is going to be the base URL for viewing a file. So fleetcoder.com/exec, like execute, !func, like function, and this is going to be my file, which we already created, and then ampersand file equals, which will be the ID from the database. So that's going to get appended right here onto the end of this in our next piece of code here. So up here in our HTML, we're going to expand this a little bit more. Before that last greater than, we're going to do a space, and we're going to call this is-link. So that'll tell this empty cell that it's a link, and then :2 equals, and we're going to have our link2 variable that we just created down here. We created a link2. We're going to put that here, and then space and plus, we're going to combine that with the ID of the item. So we're going to do file.id. So that's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4 gets appended to the end of this link2. And that's going to all be a link when I click on one of those items. So I'm going to save this, save code changes. Now you can see there's a caret here on the end of each item. So if I click, I can view that item. If I click here, I can view that item. So our link is working and our list is working. One more thing, when we upload a file, we want it to update the list automatically. So what you can do is you can go to our file upload control, and we're going to add an @change event. So when this changes and somebody uploads a file, we're going to say @change equals, and we're going to call a function. It's going to be on file change. And we're going to go down here, we're going to define that right here. After get files, put a comma. We're going to do on file change. Open close parens, open close curly brackets. And all we have to do is do this dot get files, open close parens. So this function here, get files, is going to be triggered whenever somebody uploads a file. So when I'm going to save this and I save code changes, now when I upload a file, I should see 4 items. There we go. Alright, that's pretty much it for part 2 of our tutorial. Now you can upload files, you can get a list of files, you can view a file, and in tutorial part 3 we're going to create a feed that people can subscribe to from a feed reader. So it's going to be pretty cool. Thank you for following along, and I'll see you on my next tutorial.